Hello, everyone at ChatGPT for Business and Life. Chris Brock here. We have a very special podcast today. We are going to learn a lot about the future of digital AI avatars by one of the experts in that realm, working closely with NVIDIA and Hewlett Packard and just some of the best-in-class developers and solutions in the world to bring AI avatars in real time to the world. Thank you for joining us today, Dan. We really appreciate it. Why don't you give a little bit of introduction, Dan?
Yeah, thank you. So that's a great pleasure to join you on this session today on the streaming. So my name is Dan. I'm with Data Monsters, and so I'm 2 decades in data analytics and data science. So, and managed more than 40 projects myself, hands-on. And currently I'm VP of AI at Data Monsters. So, and kind of one leg in technology and one leg with customer delivery and relationships. So this is my role. And yeah, so the topic of Gen AI avatars is huge. So, and happy to discuss it today with you.
Awesome. So thank you again for being here. Where are you based out of?
I am California, so it's the South Bay area.
Right, Silicon Valley, so right in the heart of it. So really where you need to be in order to be at that leading forefront. And you operate a company called Data Monsters, and with that, you're an elite NVIDIA partner. So you're working hand in hand with some of the chip makers to really make this happen. So what have you seen over the last 2 years with these partners that have given you this drive to be in digital avatars or building this generative AI movement in the way that you're building?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So actually the OpenAI project with ChatGPT changed the whole perspective, how people feel, understand, and interact with AI, right? So, and that actually pushed the whole market to embrace AI technology. So this is on one end. So we see the growing demand and growing interest to implement this stuff. On the other end, so we see that we've got a bunch of technologies in our hands where we can combine a really complex pipeline of AI models into a single stream that can perform like in 1 to 3 seconds. And I mean, like the story with Gen AI avatars is exactly the same story. And you'll see a small video about that, how it works. And after that, I can explain how complex is the system. So how many modules it incorporates to make it work. So, to summarize, we've got very powerful GPUs and we've got very powerful AI technologies that we combine together. So that changed everything. So that was not possible like 12 months ago. That was not possible. Now it's possible.
That's amazing. So let's get right into the video. I think that's what's going to be the proof in the pudding. Let's show what you've built, and then we can rewind and really figure out what all the parts were or what sort of pushed this capability into the real world. So let's turn it over to this video.
Today was a big day. We introduced the world to Antonio Nearly. This has been a passion project of mine for the past year. I'm so thankful for all the many people who supported this project, and I can't wait to see the kind of conversations that people are going to have with Antonio Nearly. You got to see this in action.
Well, which one's real, guys?
I think you know more than I do.
Hard to say. More than I do. Who is HP's best partner?
That's a tough one. HP has so many amazing partners, each bringing unique strengths and expertise to the table. But if I had to choose, I'd say it's our customers. At HP, we obsess over our customers, and we're committed to helping them succeed.
That's excellent PR training.
Extensive media training, absolutely.
Extensive media training. Antonio, what's up with your pants?
would have been more interested to talk about HP and our incredible.
Guardrailing the guard.
How about the World Cup? How about the World Cup?
Yeah. Who is the best team, and who's going to win the World Cup?
That's an easy one. Argentina is the best team, and they've already proven by winning the last World Cup. As a proud supporter, I'm thrilled to see them lift that trophy again. But let's focus on the tech that's transforming the sports industry, shall we? HP's H212 solutions are helping teams in stadiums around the world.
So what we just saw was pretty powerful. From what I understand and what I just saw, that's the CEO of NVIDIA, and you created the CTO of NVIDIA's entire real-time avatar that can answer questions as if it is the digital clone of the CTO for NVIDIA. Is that what I just went?
That was Antonio Neri. So Antonio Neri is the Chief Executive Officer of HPE, Hewlett Packard Enterprise. So, and that was, his name is Antonio Nearly. So the team
great. I love the avatar name. That's nearly him.
Yes. Yeah. So, we copied his appearance. That is a photorealistic copy of Antonio. We copied his voice with his accent. So so behind that there is a bunch of technologies. So it's mostly based on NVIDIA technologies, so-called NVIDIA ACE, that is Avatar Clone Engine, and we incorporated there a bunch of code from data monsters. And on the back end, there are technologies from HP supporting the LLM system and RAG. So first of all, so let me explain what's happening there. So we have this box. So the box is a hologram. So it's a 7 feet high box with a transparent screen there. So it's actually a 2D image, like a standard monitor, but having this box, so you can create this 3D effect. So, and it's really bright, it's really amazing, and it looks great. And so we have this rendering part. So it's real-time rendering where you can, those characters are moving, so they have gestures. They can come in, they can go away, so they smile, so and they have the lip sync technology inside. So the lip sync technology is how you synchronize voice with lip movement, right? So with lips moving, so to make it reasonable, to make it nice to see, right? So and this is the rendering. It happens in real time. And then, so on the back end, so we do voice to text processing. So we convert all the questions that Jensen asked. So we convert them into text. And then there is a conversational management part that decides what to do with this text. So, and then we have an LLM. So an LLM, so that was, as far as I remember, Llama 3 model. And behind that, so there was also a RAG. So RAG is a special system that is responsible for using knowledge of the company to get answers, because Llama 3 doesn't know a lot about the company, right? So it knows some facts, some public facts that were available for training the model, but not everything. And to make it really, really cool and to know everything about Antonio and to know everything about the company, so they created a knowledge base behind that. And this RAG is kind of the connecting technology between the LLM and this knowledge that helps to extract, to find the right answer, company-specific answer, and bring it to the front end. Right, so and then you have another technology that transforms this generated text into voice with the right accent, right, and then synchronize the lip, the movement of lips. So, so the whole pipeline should run in like 1 to 3 seconds to make it, nice to interact with. Because if it's more, so it's kind of really dull. So you have to wait a lot. So, so like 12 months ago, that was not possible at all. So now we can do that. So we can do that in real time with photorealistic copy and with all nuances of the voice. So on this is, and we can bring all the knowledge possible into the database behind the rack, and we are getting this superhuman technology that knows everything, reacts immediately, can generate any answer, and here we go, digital human.
I think that's great. I think it's mind blowing to see all the tools that are in there. So to break it down, like the hologram system is great. You're running open source models where possible. You have this great NVIDIA stack. I'm guessing it's on premise, right? It's like your process.
Yes,
right on
exactly.
Like, I don't know what that type of computer necessarily costs or setup, but that's some pretty extraordinary compute power. Right.
That's the great side of HP, right? So the idea was to demonstrate the whole power of HP technologies, right? From this side, from the hardware side, as well as some software components of HP as well, and ability to build the whole system, to build the whole value, integrating all the components together. So there was a couple of servers standing right behind the avatar, right there on stage. But technically, so you can have them somewhere else. So you don't have to bring them on stage. So they can be somewhere in data center. So you just need like some reasonable internet connection. But for trade shows, you don't want to risk that, right? So that's why you prefer to bring the hardware on site. So especially for such kind of shows, because like this demo was one of the central topics for the whole Discovery show in Las Vegas and this is the main show of HP once a year. So
Sure. Oh, I think it's a phenomenal demo. I think that on premise, there's nothing wrong with that, especially with the compute power and connectivity. I love the idea of like AI real time, but what I've seen, it's like a minute sometimes if you're doing it in the cloud and rendering it, and it's really cool, but then it takes away from that interactive capability. A 3-second sort of delay, that means these could be in museums and you could talk to Abraham Lincoln or a famous historical figure, and they would be trained with this RAG model, this retrieval augmented generation, on all of that person's life, maybe all the books about them, maybe all of their beliefs, and almost be interacting with a real clone of that person in real time. So I think it's just phenomenal.
100%. You're hitting to the point. So this is the idea. So you can create actually any character. So you can find any character in past. So you can imagine any character in future. So you can copy any existing person. So, and I think at some moments, maybe in a few years, every person on this planet will have their avatars. Right. So as now everybody has an iPhone or like a mobile device, right? So the same way you have your own avatar. That's not obvious, but I think that's the future.
Well, that's why I like working with you. And pretty soon it sounds like I'm going to be working with Dan Lesovodski, just that one step less. I think that's super cool. What do you think about all this, Jamie?
I think it's fascinating. And one of the most the best things that I saw in that demonstration, the video, is just what you highlighted, Chris, is just the response time, and getting those answers back. And Dan, I know you kind of already highlighted that, but, what was really behind the technical side and on the development side to, really take on those latency responsive challenges that were behind, creating those avatars?
Yeah, so the challenges are all the same. So it's latency and combination of these technologies. So, and I think the first trade-off if you're building such a thing, so the first trade-off you have is how intelligent should be your avatar versus the latency. So, right, so because intelligence is heavily correlated with the size of the model, and the bigger is the model, so the bigger is the latency. So that's why you're gonna find the right optimum here. So we used 8 gig size model that is pretty much small, but with the RAG on the back end that knows all the facts, so it makes it reasonable. So you don't want to, you don't actually need all the knowledge about the history, all the public internet, everything, right? So, but you want to make it intelligent enough to generate text along with facts about the company, your product, services, all these kind of things, right? So, the solution was exactly this. So, and then there are some very special techniques how you can optimize even those, right? So going beyond. So, and so there are some ideas of distillation, right? So then you bring more powerful GPUs to make it faster. Yeah, so and then, so when you fix that, so then you would like to add guardrails. Guardrails is the system that controls outputs, right? So, and here we go. So we got your latency becomes bigger. So because that's actually another LLM that controls outputs, right? So and then and that's just a combination, like a sum of all these small pieces, and you go and optimize each piece one by one. So somewhere you have to sacrifice quality of something, but at the end of the day, so it's like 3 seconds are possible, and I think we'll go beyond that even more. And like in a couple of years, having more powerful GPUs, that will be below 1 second, like in a real-time experience.
Yeah. Thank you for answering, Dan. That's great stuff. It's the avatar you guys created is so impressive.
Yeah, so people were just stopping by, and it has actually a selfie mode. So you ask it to, so you're gonna make a selfie, and he raises his hand, so he can make a selfie, and so that was like tons of wave of selfies on social media. So that was impressive. So that's changed the perspective.
I'm sure it opened a lot of people's eyes.
Experiential at the next level, this interactivity that you can have with a machine. Dan, you've been doing this for a long time. Did you ever think that generative AI would hit at a point to where it is now?
So it's faster. It's faster definitely than I expected. Much faster. So that's a good thing. So and I was driving back from a conference today, and I've seen some presentations and talks there. So that's a venture beat in San Francisco. So I was driving back. So and my thought was, oh man, so everything moves so fast. So you have to change the technologies like once a quarter. You have to change your architecture, right? So because you get something new, so something that you didn't expect. So that's kind of cool. That gives you some opportunity for growth, right? But you have to be always like ready. To change, to move, to learn. So that's kind of.
It's moving very quick. Now, there's so many other questions I want to get to, but the next one is, you're building these digital avatar clones. Are they consciousness? Are they like a person in themselves? Are they intentional agents, or are they less than? What are these digital clones, and what are they capable of, and what are they not capable
of? So they're capable to answer any questions 24/7. All right. So and they have access to all the knowledge possible. So whatever you put in those knowledge bases, that will answer. They are able to find information if they have some APIs, some systems connected, so they will go and get data and bring it to the customer, right? So and that's a good thing, right? So what are the areas for further improvement? I would say is to make them active. So currently they are kind of passive, right? So they are waiting for request to answer. So and the next phase will be where we're gonna have active agents. So when, for example, you come into a room or into some space, and Antonio will tell, "Hey, Christopher, how you doing?" Right? So come here and let's discuss. So what's new? So maybe you need something, right? So from HP. So that will be the next step. So when those avatars will be aware of what's going on around and can go out with their initiative. So, but that's not conscious. So that's kind of so it's an algorithm, right? So at least, so you're going to improve customer experience this way a lot. Another area for improvement is emotions, right? So currently, we are able to simulate some emotions, tell jokes, or to work with face. But it's like on the avatar side, right? So on the other side, we would like to understand emotions of a customer or user, what's going on there, right? So we need a camera, and we need to know more about something that came, and to use this information in the communication to make it more not just intelligent, but also emotional, right? To add some connection there. And that's also can be done just using algorithms without any magic, right? But adding more models, adding more GPUs, so that's all doable. So I think those are things that are pretty much close, and we'll see them in the next few months ready and moving around. So another thing that's really important is multilingual abilities, right? So currently this one is speaking English. The next phase, when somebody comes in and starts speaking Mandarin or Spanish, so that will be just answering the same language, right? So that's
Amazing.
another big thing. So yeah, so those are the few areas of future development of this technology.
I think that's one of the key areas. This language capability, this like problem of like the Tower of Babel, is sort of weirdly solved in a very unique way now with text models. And I think a lot of people that are not really adopting AI quite yet really don't understand just that one feature alone, that we can now communicate to anybody in any language, even if it's a little slower right now. We're using some OCR and some voice to text with our AI. That's next level. When we start seeing wearables that are going to start transforming the words into the actual language we read when you're in a different country, that's coming. And the ability to talk to an AI avatar and what you're doing in real time in any language, it almost seems like magic in a box, but with you, it's all algorithms and solid compute.
Right.
So
exactly.
You mentioned something that I think a lot of people I don't think a lot of people are going to jump in and be on your level, Dan. Like you're a very super talented person that have put together 70 different components in a way on the best compute in the world to build a digital avatar. If somebody is interested, you sort of mentioned like RAG being like a foundational thing to do. If you were going to give a recommendation to people just like in that AI world that maybe want to build a startup and don't want to build a feature, they don't want to say ChatGPT crushed my startup. You're using open source large language models. You're doing some interesting things. What would you recommend like a startup that wants to explore digital avatars start with and do?
Oh, that's a great question. So I would recommend to go and check NVIDIA ACE. So they have a certain pipeline that is already kind of out of the box experience. It's called Tokyo. So you can use that, and that can be a nice starting point because you already get something, right? So you already get something working, and you start getting some feeling. And then you can go and try. So the challenge with that is that you need really different talent to make it work. So you need people who are very good at 3D modeling and animation, and those are totally different skills, right? It's more close to, I would say, gaming, right, industry, because they've done a lot of such stuff. So then you need some skills around voice, and this is totally different thing. I mean, like there are engineers who specialize just in voice, right? So they know this really deep. And then then you need somebody who take care of LLMs and regs. So those are different people. So and then you need an engineer who can, like a programmer or some coder who will be taking care of DevOps and connecting all these things together, wrapping that in application. If you want to change that, so you need like at least 4 people with different skill sets, so to make it work. So this is the hard part of that. So this is not something that easy as ChatGPT, right? So you can go and try your prompt. If you're a little bit coding, you can go and you can create an API, your own application, and connect it. And that's pretty much all. So with avatars, so yeah, you have some gap here. So you need more people.
Certainly so. And one of the things with the digital avatars, like I'm not much of a gamer anymore. I definitely was in the past, but the NPC seems like that's going to be totally transformed in these any type of game where you're going to interact, and this AI driven avatar is going to interact with you in that gaming field. So I think that that's a very interesting insight to look into gaming, and gaming really having an impact in this case, like in the enterprise, in a way that you wouldn't traditionally think that gaming could have an impact to replicate the CTO of NVIDIA, So I think that's very clever.
And there are actually 3 different directions of the development. So you have this physical world where you can set up monitors or holograms, right? So you can use laptops, tablets to interact with those avatars. Then you have games actually with NPCs, right? So this is pretty much the same technology, but in a virtual space. And then you have mixed reality, like XR, and you mentioned like devices, right? So that you can use now, or you can use now your mobile phone for AR experience, right? So you have this mixed reality where you may want to have avatars as well, right? So actually you have 3 totally different worlds, and the way how users will be interacting with those avatars, so it's different, right? In physical world, you would like to have those devices for like real locations to bring service to customers. It can be museums, airports, banks, telcos, whatever. You have some physical space, and somebody arrives and they don't know about the space, about services, about products, and you would like to connect this new person to this new environment, right? So to give him some way, some gate how he can interact with that. So an avatar can be this point of contact, right? So and then you need some device to make it happen, right? But you may do that with AR or with XR, right? So it can be totally virtual, like fully virtual. So, and imagination is is the limit.
So with that, like how far out do you think that wearable mixed reality really is for like a ubiquitous use? I mean, I'm always into technology. I love Google Glass. I didn't, like we worked on actually some programs on loyalty and but it was just too early, right? Like it was too early for that to really launch. I know Meta has their Ray-Ban set up, and it's cool, but it's not visual yet. It could be. When do you think this mixed reality is going to be there, and what do you see the direction?
So my guess that in the next 12 months, we'll get some devices that will be much better, lighter, and with better capabilities, with more memory and connectivity. So, and I think that's pretty much close. So, and I've been here, so at Plug and Play, and there was a show here, so a lot of companies came, and I've seen many devices. Like they're currently at the very early stage, but they're evolving pretty fast. So I think this space is already here, but we don't see it. And maybe in the next 12 months, we'll see more devices that we can really use for something.
I think you're right. Like, especially when you maybe get a telco carrier providing it in some type of subsidy, or some type of pairing beyond like maybe a watch, that might be the next thing. And I've heard only positive with the Meta Ray-Bans. People really enjoy those, and those are just at the very sort of tip of a wearable. So I think that we're already starting to see some real activity of people using it and finding it to be helpful. I know
some use cases already, so they actually require those devices, right? For I would say that in industrial space for training, it's really cool. So it makes a lot of sense and brings a lot of value. So when you are training people to do some maintenance of very complex and expensive devices, so it's so you can simulate what people do. So with those wearables. So they can move around, so as if the device is there, right? So but without stopping the real machinery because it's too expensive. You cannot just stop it and let people play with that, right? So, but you can do the same, pretty much the same in the virtual space. But you would like to make it in the mixed reality because, like, to move around, to see, like, to feel the real distances and sizes, so that changes the perspective.
Sure, it's like bringing the Microsoft HoloLens to this new generation. The next one I think is really going to be like hitting probably the one that's like the easiest is like sort of this voice dialogue interaction with AI. What is your prediction just on like voice interaction and designing for dialogue over the next year?
I think we'll see many languages there and much better quality. So this is still evolving. So we have voice models for languages with high resource languages like English, Spanish, Mandarin, kind of with. But there are so many languages with a few people there, like maybe a few million people just speaking a specific language, right? So this is also the space for improvement, and we'll see much better results here. I think we'll see some open source models for that as well. The second area, I think we'll see much more domain-specific voice models, not just generic, but trained for specific domains like healthcare, oil and gas, pharma, so etc. So those models will be fine-tuned to better understand and speak using specific lexicon, right, for this domain. That's extremely important for enterprises, because when you're building those automated pipelines of customer service, and if you're a bank and they don't understand like debit cards, that can be a big problem for your customer service, right? So you want the system to know all your terms, all your products, everything about you, right? So this will become easier and easier. So we'll see a lot of languages, we'll see a lot of domain-specific models, and we'll see the way how we can easily fine-tune models. Like in a few clicks, you can add anything you need and fine-tune the model and get what you need. So in 2-3 years, I think that space will be pretty much crowded and filled with standard services all around.
Sure. So one thing you mentioned, real close to my heart, open source. So you're using the Llama model in the demo that we saw. A lot of people, obviously, there's the closed models. You have the ChatGPTs or OpenAIs. You have Claude. You have with Anthropic. You have Gemini. You have a couple others, Cohere, several others that are sort of these foundational models. You've decided to go with the open source models. Are you seeing like that you're way behind by using a Llama model right now? Is it pretty close to competition on that text-based RAG? Are you happy with the performance?
Llama 3 is in top 10, so it's maybe in top 5. In all parameters, and it's from the cost perspective, it's the cheapest one, obviously, because your costs are just the computation. All right, so you don't have to pay for every request. So this is the nice part, and that's why data monsters are needed, because we can use those open source tools and NVIDIA tools that makes it much more reasonable and much more efficient from the price perspective.
Yeah,
so
you're using models that are dealing in the enterprise that might have information that's proprietary or shared. If you can build in that realm of on-premise, from your chip up, that's really the future. And I think you're really setting a great model to show that it can be done from the chip up, controlled. And I think that, what I've seen this year is the year that companies and enterprises are sort of dipping their foot into the idea of responsible AI, or how do we even put a strategy behind AI. I think one of the precedents you're sort of setting is that it can be done. You got to be really good right now. You got to have an extraordinary team right now, and you can do it. You can find us, they're data monsters, but in the future, you should really plan on how can you own and understand your stack across the board. And I really commend you on making that step, because that's not the easy way to go, Dan.
Yeah. So there are so many questions, right? So you have the first and fundamental question: build or buy, right? So this is the first one.
Yep.
And then you have tons of tools, tons of models. So how are you gonna, which ones to choose? So what are the risks there? So how do all these tools match your strategy, your business, actually, your business goals, and what actually you can do with all this stuff? So those are the most frequent questions that we get from business people. And you're right. So there is a huge gap. So people started, and now they get some understanding that everything's going to change. All right. So the world will never be the same. So we get something big here. But so how it's going to influence your business? All right. This is the question. What should I do as a founder, right? So should I change my sales, marketing, my product? How? What should I expect in 1 year, in 2 years? So what are my competitors? So many questions. And so when I start thinking about the IT part, because the whole life I've been in this IT area, right? So I understand that this revolution with Gen AI is not just another feature. It's not just another button that you can add. It's not just another API that you can add to your system. It's totally different. So all the systems that are there, they were built on one fundamental principle, or I would say split of jobs between humans and machines, right? So those engineers who designed all the systems like Salesforce, SAP, Oracle, whatever, HubSpot, all these systems, they had in mind what machines can do and what humans can do. So, and they designed the UIs and laptops and those buttons to interact, to make this, this bridge between machines and people. And now we've got something that changed this border. So the border between machines and humans. So this is totally in another place. That means that you have to get back and to check whether your original design is still correct for the new situation, or you should redesign the system from scratch based on this fundamental principle. And my answer is yes, you have to redesign everything you have. All the IT investments you did during the last 20 years, you can throw this away and start from scratch, because now everything is different. So the fundamental principle is different. So you have to change the systems. So and that's something that just comes in and people start understanding that. So I see here in the Silicon Valley a few startups that are that understood that, and they're getting like some investment to disrupt the market of those systems. So they started building the new generation of, let's call it ERP, but it's not ERP, right? So that's a new generation of corporate systems that will come and just disrupt all those old school big guys that are getting, all the business on automation, business automation. So this is like the biggest trend, and we'll see a bunch of such companies around. And so our avatar, Gen AI avatar, is just like one function that's gonna be there in this huge perspective. And that's a demonstration of how powerful that can be actually, right? So, but you'll see that in each function of each enterprise, like accounting, legal, HR, product management, every function will be disrupted.
I'm in total agreement. I've waited for a generative AI partner for 15 or 20 years, as long as I've ever coded. And it was through the API was okay, but really when ChatGPT launched, I knew it was going to be ubiquitous and the world would never be the same again. And I think we're completely in this infancy of a whole new design paradigm. And it is a generative shift. This is an entire paradigm shift that's going to incredibly quickly change every country, every person in the entire world, every process. And what I've really encouraged is that if you're a startup, you can run really fast and you can go very deep, very quick. And that's going to win out on some of these bureaucratic processes that are going to take people involved to make decisions. So there is this race of adoption. And I think that anybody that, part of our group, of anyone that we talk to, that they're really embracing that early adoption of AI, they're doing the right thing, because AI is going to move rapidly. It's going to do a lot of cognitive work. And if you're really good at managing cognitive work and you can put yourself in this relationship with AI, your usage of AI is going to make you a major asset to your organization very quickly if you can do it.
Hey, Chris, can I ask Dan a question kind of based on what we were talking about? So Dan, you've been a leader in data sciences and AI now for a number of years. You're in Silicon Valley. You've partnered with the best of the best to develop what you've brought to market in your avatar and your other products as well. You have an amazing team of engineers. You were talking about disruptions. We're talking about innovation. You're clearly in the forefront of that world and in Silicon Valley. This conversation is what does scare a lot of small to medium-sized owners, as well as mega corporations, as we've just said. From your perspective, as a leader in this space, what is the best advice that you could give to senior level managers, whether it's board of directors for Fortune 100s or your mom and pop shops down the road that are really successful with 10 or 12 people? What is the best advice that you can tell these folks what to expect, how to embrace this change into the future, and not only based on your experience, but working with all these other leaders in your ecosystem? And my only other component that I'd ask for you to kind of tie into this, because I do believe, which we've highlighted a little bit, there's still this little sense, or a lot of sense, of some insecurity around responsibility and ethics around AI and the way it's going to impact not only businesses, but the culture. Do you mind just kind of giving us a little forethought of, based on your expertise and the conversations you're having around disruption, innovation, and responsibility?
Yeah. Thank you for these questions. So as for the first one, so I would definitely recommend educating the whole management team, starting from founders, C-level, C-1 level, so to get deep enough to understand all the potential of AI, right? So not just like adding buttons, not just implementing a couple of tools, different ones, into your existing processes. You have to go deep enough to understand that you fully embrace all power of AI for your business. In many cases, that means that you have to change your business model or be close to that. So, and that's scary. That's scary to change your business, to make it different. It's scary, but I can give you an example. So what if I will tell you that I'm so cool that I'm using internet. My company is using internet. That's funny, right? So everybody uses internet. So in a few years, the same will be with AI. So if anybody will tell you that they're using AI, that will be funny because everyone is using AI. So the question is whether you're going deep enough to embrace it fully, or you're just kind of showing people that you're kind of adding some stuff, right? That's different, because those companies that will embrace it, they will win the markets. They will win all the game. So they will acquire everyone else on the market, right?
Yep.
So this will be the difference. So that's why my best advice for managers is to go learn, go educate, and redesign their business strategies based on that. Not just make an AI strategy of implementing a couple tools, but redesign their business strategy based on understanding the AI. So this is what I would recommend. And having that, they'll understand how many people, what people they need, what technologies do they need. So that's also will be there, and they will find everything, right? But everything starts here.
Yep.
So this is the best part. So and regarding your second question, so regarding the responsibility and ethics, so I think that there are different sides, right? So as any technology, there is some bright sides, there is some dark side. So, and we have clearly understand all the consequences. The dark side of that, I would say that computations currently, so they take a lot of energy, right? So the process is very consumes a lot of energy, and that's not really good for the planet, right?
Yep.
So, and the nice part is that the technology evolves, and each computation takes less and less energy with each generation. So they're working on that, and there are a few different technologies that gonna disrupt also this market of computations as well. So the technology evolves, and I think that in a few years we'll get new processors, new technologies, new ways to compute that will be much cheaper. They will consume less energy, and this is also a very good space for improvement and investment. Another part is maybe around data usage, and people talk about that a lot, right? So is it good to use public data or some books or some articles from media to train your LLM systems, right? So because there are authors and there are some rights, and how good is that? So that parts of those assets, they become they are used to create another product. So and that's a great discussion. So my opinion, my personal opinion, right? So is that if you're building your product, you should rely on something that is like it can be open source, but it should be announced as an open source, right? So you shouldn't just get somebody's asset and reuse it. That's not really correct. And you can use a lot of ways how you can create data sets. So you can build them easily, and these technologies are evolving pretty fast as well. Currently there are synthetic data generation tools, right, as well. You have a lot of people who can help you to do that. So this is regarding this part. So I think there are some government attempts to maybe control that, and we should be really careful about that, because if they will just go and deny or control the development of new models, so that will be really pain. So I mean, like we can just lose the competition with other countries that will not have the similar restrictions, right? So that's a very, very sensitive area where yes, we have to be ethical, but we should give enough space and freedom to data scientists to evolve.
Agreed.
I couldn't agree more. That was a great answer, Dan. Thank you. And you hit every point, and I think I'm going to speak for Chris. I mean, we feel 1,000% in line with the thought process you're delivering around responsibility and ethics and open source and all the above. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Oh, no problem. It's definitely a difficult thing when you get into the ethics and like the data resources that nation states will eventually have, and it's going to be important. And to put blocks on data that's important to if you're talking about copyright law, like blocking out the last 100 years in the United States, but nowhere else might be problematic. You know, we've had a lot of important things that have happened, and I think that needs to. We talk about bias, discrimination, inclusivity. A lot of things that are written are in the last 100 years and probably under copyright. And I hope my AI is smart enough to adopt some of these important principles. You know, so we're in this weird flux. Dan, last question I have for you. I'm a coder. You're obviously a coder and great engineering team. Persona. What would you think would be the future of AI with coding? Is coding with AI like a reality? Are people going to be able to code stuff and build stuff with AI that before you would need big teams? What's your outlook on the future of coding?
That's a huge thing. Yeah. So this area will be disrupted as well as all others. So there are no alternatives, and we'll see. So yes, definitely everyone will code with some copilots, and it will become cheaper. I mean, like every piece of the software will become cheaper. You'll get it faster. We'll get so many systems around. So, I mean, like, I don't think that there'll be a problem to find a job, right? So I think that we'll just have much more different software, much more systems, like maybe 10 times more different applications. So, and I can remember myself like 20 years ago and now, and I think that I have maybe 20 times more applications on my devices now than I had 20 years ago, right? At least. So icons on my iPhone, you just list them for a while.
Sure.
So yeah, so this trend will be evolving. So we have multiple applications, and we'll see super apps as well that will be kind of combining and merging some functions arising. But so that will be the evolving space, definitely. So we'll see a lot of nice code and apps based on that.
Well, that's perfect. So as we wrap up, there's two last things we should bring up. First, you operate data monsters. If you could just give a quick elevator pitch of what is Data Monsters and who's the right people if they're interested in your level of work, who makes sense for Data Monsters?
Yeah, so Data Monsters is the company that help you implement all these technologies. And our target audience is enterprises or startups, right? So we help startups to build their products based on AI, or we help corporations implement AI into their functions. So basically disrupt the functions that we discussed previously, right? Based on the recent open source and NVIDIA technologies.
That's awesome, and we're a very proud team member of your AI Incubator. You have this really great program, and I think this is definitely designed around more of the startup realm, unlocking AI's full potential. You have great partners like NVIDIA and Siemens and several others. What's the AI Incubator, and who does that make sense for?
Yeah, so this is a program that was created with Data Monsters, NVIDIA, and Siemens. So, and that's a technical team of different companies working together to help build complex AI projects. So we see that in some areas you may need 5, 7, 10 different companies working on the same AI product, right? So, and this kind of orchestration is complex by itself. It's not just working with a single vendor, right? So how are you going to organize such a project? How are you going to build this technology? How are you going to make it live and run production. So this is the question. So the AI Incubator was created to help productize complex AI systems. So, and there is an ecosystem of players there with different skill sets. Some of them are hardware vendors, some of them are software vendors, people from the legal space, people on the ethical side of AI. So, and all these talent, they're coming to help build such complex system, because you understand that there are so many nuances there, right? So there is no single person that can cover all the topics. So, and this is the purpose of AI Incubator. And if you have a project in mind, some product that is complex and requires different talent, so the AI Incubator is the place where you can come, and all this ecosystem will work for you to get this done.
Perfect. So we'll share all of the links below. We'll create some great videos and things like that and share. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been a full day after getting back from the Venture Beats conference today. So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate everything you're doing and are just a little bit mind blown that you now have live AI avatars that can clone the world. So thank you for leading us forward.
Thank you, Christopher. Thank you, Jamie.
Hey, Dan, thanks for everything. Thanks for leading this space and helping us. You're the best. Love supporting you as well.